These are 8x8 sheets of different versions of cutaway. This is a more fabric style cutaway, and it's a much softer feeling, and it moves very easily. This hoops so much easier for you. Even when you have to do multiple layers, it hoops really, really easy. This is a more fibrous type of cutaway, and as you can tell, it's just much stiffer. It hoops much, much more difficult. When I try to hoop 2 layers of this, I can break a sweat trying to get it in the hoop, versus 2 layers of this type, and this hoops like smooth and no problem. But these two will do the same thing. It's just the difference in how they hoop for you and what your final design stitches out as. I think this fabric type one, honestly, the designs seem to be a little bit more puffy and get a little bit more fullness to them than using this kind of a cutaway. Water soluble. There is 2 different kinds of water soluble. There's a fabric type that does very good for like freestanding lace. You can put this in the hoop and stitch directly on it, dissolve it, and get your lace. It can be used as a topper, but it doesn't do as well as the plastic type water soluble. And this is more of a plastic that can go on top. You can lay it on, and even if it gets a wrinkle in it as it's stitching, it's okay. It's going to dissolve. Both of these, when you're done stitching, dissolving them in warm water will dissolve the stabilizer away. How long you soak it depends on how stiff your item will be afterwards. So when doing freestanding lace and using just the fabric style, you can just dip it in your water and dissolve the outside stabilizer. And as this dries, it'll turn to kind of like a glue and keep your lace stiff, which makes them stand on their own. This one you can spray with a spritz of water, and it will just disappear as your topper. If you leave too much of it behind, though, then the top of your item will get stiff. The tearaway. Tearaway can come in sheets and in rolls. It also comes in different strengths. This is the 8x8 sheets of tearaway that comes in the machine. And as you can tell, it does exactly what it says it's going to do. It tears. So this is a very thin stabilizer and does not do well with thin fabrics. It's going to do exactly what it's meant to do. It's going to break away. This will tear as you launder something. It just isn't meant to stand up. It's meant to help get your project through the stitching stage, and then it has no use afterwards for the longevity of whatever you've made. So this is a sheet of tearaway. It does come in rolls, but it also comes in different thicknesses. This is a heavier tearaway, and it's more of a paper-like texture, but it also tears very easily. So with a dense design or anything like that, as your needle is going through this hundreds and hundreds of times, it's going to tear the stabilizer, and it's going to lose its integrity. So this is a heavy tearaway, is what this one is. And this is more of a fiber tearaway on a roll that isn't the paper, but it still tears very easily. So your differences between your tearaway and your cutaway stabilizer is your cutaway isn't going to give up on you. It's going to constantly be there. Another very handy type of stabilizer to have is sticky stabilizer. So your sticky stabilizer is just exactly what it says it is. You can hoop the stabilizer and peel off the backing of it, and it's sticky. So when you're floating something, you can stick your fabric straight down on the stabilizer and secure it that way, and then you don't have as much shift. This is a sticky washable stabilizer that can be used for freestanding lace. If you need something to float that you don't want the stabilizer when you're done, then this is a good stabilizer to use. This one is a sticky cutaway stabilizer, and it's much like the other stabilizers that I've showed you for the cutaway, except for it's a little bit thinner, but it also has that sticky part on it. So when you hoop it, then you can peel this off, float your item right on it, and then you have a cutaway stabilizer on the back of it. The tough part about using a sticky stabilizer like this is you almost need to have another piece of cutaway that you hoop, and then hoop this on top of it so you can utilize the stickiness if you're floating. It will not, it's senseless because this is, the sticky stabilizers are a lot more expensive. They're a smaller roll. So it doesn't make sense to use 2 or 3 layers of this, but you can mix this with your other stabilizers to get to the level of stabilizer you need for your project. Another very valuable stabilizer, and this is no-show mesh, and this is like a fabric that's got a grid work in it that doesn't allow things to stretch. So it has a good pull to it. It doesn't let things move. You can use a no-show mesh by itself, but it does need 2 or 3 layers. And when you do it, the grid marks in it, if you'll rotate your layers to fill those holes, it increases the ability of this stabilizer to be stronger. You can mix this with your cutaway. If you put a couple of layers of this down and then a layer of cutaway, you'll be able to reduce your cutaway stabilizer, which will reduce heaviness in your design. Or if you do have something that is needing 4 layers of cutaway stabilizer, it'll reduce the stiffness. You can do 2 layers of cutaway and then 2 layers of this, and it will reduce the weight of your design. So beanies, things like that, that you don't want a heavy stabilizer but need to secure that shift, using this will help keep that from getting too heavy and make it uncomfortable to wear.